How powerful were the Pieces of Eden? The Pieces of Eden were technologically advanced devices created by the Isu for various purposes. Each possessed properties uniquely suited to the purpose for which it was designed, with some capable of bending the thoughts of one or more individuals to the will of the user, and others being able to heal wounds, or create defensive shields, or duplicate the user. The list goes on. The thing they have in common is they're all powerful. To further grasp the extent of the powers of these artifacts, we need to take a look at the types of Pieces of Eden there were, and what they could do. So let's rock this raft. To start off, we have the Apples of Eden. The Apples of Eden specialised in controlling the minds of men, creating illusions and permitting control over physical bodies. They can be used in conjunction with the staff, which intensifies the power of both pieces. We saw this very thing happen at the end of Assassin's Creed 2 inside the Vatican with Rodrigo Borgia. We've also seen the apples used to manipulate bodies to execute the will of the user many times. An example of an illusion the apple could cause would be to duplicate the body or the appearance of the user to hide his or her location, usually in combat situations to help confuse the user's opponent and turn the battle on their side. Next up are the Shrouds of Eden. The Shrouds could heal wounds upon contact, and considering the context of which Crawford Starrick used to talk about the Shroud, they can also maintain and prolong one's well-being and lifespan, allegedly. Then we have the Ankh, or however you pronounce that, which could supposedly resurrect the dead, and I'd imagine it combined with the Shroud could do wonders. Then there's of course the Sword of Eden, which granted the bearer great power and leadership, and was most commonly used by influential humans in war and conquest. The swords could counteract the effects of illusions created by Apples of Eden, translocation, a form of echolocation akin to eagle vision, and project energy blasts at foes from its tip. On top of all that, it was a sword. It could, stab people. Then there are the Crystal Skulls, which provided unassisted telepathic communication between their owners. Similar artifacts known to Crystal Skulls allowed users to access the Nexus and communicate with members of the Isu. As seen in Assassin's Creed 4, the Crystal Skull could also use blood to see through the eyes of whoever the blood was from. There were also Rings of Eden, which could create a magnetic shield around the wearer and repel all metallic objects, like projectiles and stuff. So for example, bullets, knives. During the Golden Age of Piracy, an unidentified Piece of Eden was used to increase Alonso Bitilla's ship's capabilities to sink a ship that was much larger and more capable than it in warfare. It did this by reinforcing the ship's armour and making the cannons more effective against the enemy ship. And according to an email read by Desmond Miles in 2012, at least one Piece of Eden existed that had the ability for its user to manipulate time itself. In fear of creating a paradox, the Templars locked this one away to never use it again. Moving on, according to glyphs and truth files, many legends and myths recorded in human history are actually accurate and can be explained by the protagonist in each having acquired his own Piece of Eden, explaining all paranormal activities within each and every myth and legend that is accurate. Both the Codex map and map projection show that there are a total of 50 Pieces of Eden, though Subject 16 said that the Shroud was Piece of Eden 66. However, in both French and German translations of Assassin's Creed 2, it is referred to as Piece of Eden 36. Whether this is an error or a mix-up in translation is still unknown. So the Pieces of Eden specialised in things. They were powerful in certain things, and they could manipulate people into executing will. That's pretty powerful. They could also create illusions, which was also very powerful. They could fire blasts at people, create metallic shields, well, metallic repellent shields, shall I say. One of them could even bend the fabric of time, which is, fuck, blimey, that's powerful. But could the pieces of Eden decay or be destroyed? Well, the answer is probably yes, because apparently the Shroud is piece of Eden 66, yet there are only 50 pieces of Eden listed by the Codex map, which means that some of them are not there anymore, which means they've either been destroyed or they have decayed. Also, pieces of Eden had physical repercussions upon the user. For example, the apple damaged Ezio just as much as it damaged the people around him at certain times. It would affect his health a little bit as it killed those around him and manipulated them to his will to fight each other to create cover for his escape or whatever he was doing. So they're not all powerful. And as seen in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood especially, they do sort of feed off of the user a bit to use their power. However, a lot of the time as well, this does not appear to be the case. However, it does appear the pieces of Eden do have side effect on the users as well. For example, Altair went a little bit bonkers, very marginally, and he's hallucinated and stuff like that. In return for knowledge, he sort of became connected to it, as in his older years the apple was basically what was keeping him alive. This is not official or confirmed or canon or anything, but this is probably what the case is. When Altair put the apple down in the library, he went and he immediately lost his sight. He had to feel for the seat, he had to feel around. You could tell that he'd gone blind immediately. He deteriorated because he was no longer with the apple, and then when he sat down he died. So it appears the pieces of Eden can sometimes prolong someone's life as long as they are connected with it, because it does have limits, and if they lose connection with this piece of Eden, age will catch up with them. Of course its effects would be very limited and they'd still appear to grow old and would eventually die, unless it was probably the Shroud, which would be a different case, theoretically. But it appears even though they were very, very powerful, the pieces of Eden still had limits. This is a topic you could literally talk about for hours and hours and hours and hours. But I think I've already made the point that the pieces of Eden are very bloody powerful. So ultimately that's the conclusion, isn't it? So yeah, thanks for watching everybody. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, share, comment, and I'll see you all soon. So yeah, so